Hello and welcome back to Alternative Academia. We're now in month 3. For those who haven't been following this journey, I have been exploring different forms of academia that are non-typical to your conferences or articles, different ways of sharing research. So I have looked at blogs, written blogs, image sharing, and now this month we're going to be doing some video blogs, or vlogs I guess people call them. So let's see how this goes. This is a very strange experience for me. Don't particularly like filming myself, and now we're all working from home. My husband is sat downstairs and I feel very paranoid about this. So we're going to jump in. Now the title of this video is researching during a global pandemic, and that might be a little bit clickbaity because I'm not actually doing research right now. I'm just writing my research. I feel very fortunate to be at this stage during the global pandemic that we're facing at the moment, but it has made me question the balance of PhD and reality. If you wonder why I'm looking down here, I've written some notes. So it has made me question the balance of PhD and reality. We try to make our PhDs really relatable to real life, to reality. However, we're actually doing a PhD in sort of a vacuum of reality. You don't sort of sit anywhere as a PhD student. You're technically not a student, you're a researcher, but you're not quite a member of staff. So you are doing a piece of research in a vacuum of reality, of academia, of higher education. So when something like this happens, this situation that we're currently in, it makes you realise what you've been doing for the past 4 years, as I've been doing, is a lot. It makes you sit back and realise how fast life has been going without you even realising. So I wrote down a couple of points I wanted to talk about in terms of researching during a global pandemic. The first one is progress. So doing a PhD is like one of the highest rungs of the academic ladder. The expectations are equally high, and unfortunately, the falls are even harder. The current situation has produced a lot of understanding from other people. People on Twitter saying, don't worry if you can't do things right now, if you can't progress, if you can't write, that's okay. We're in the middle of something really concerning and critical, so it's okay if you can't write right now. And that's really interesting to me because my other point is about time and the fact that we constantly need time to do our PhDs, to write our PhDs. We're always desperate for that time, and all of a sudden we're now being told that it's okay, actually, if we don't feel like we're progressing. Not worrying about progression. It's kind of like an anti-narrative to a PhD student who spends a lot of time worrying about progressing up the academic hierarchy, up the academic ladder. The fact that we can't attend our usual forms of academia, like conferences, like writing articles, deadlines. I mean, I don't tend to write any articles, but like, what is happening with people's deadlines if people can't work, if people aren't in work? It's quite concerning stuff to an academic, I imagine, but to a PhD student, this should be seen as an opportunity in some respects, that we can actually sit and find time to do our work. But the narrative I'm actually seeing is people saying, it's fine if you can't do it right now. We understand that this is hard, and although you spend a lot of time at home and a lot of time writing and a lot of time just being by yourself, that reality vacuum isn't as much as a vacuum as I perhaps immediately thought. We're not in a vacuum. We do exist. We are existing as PhD students, and we deserve to be acknowledged not as just doing research, as researchers, because some of us aren't actively researching like me, I'm just writing. And some of us have other things going on in our lives. It's that whole debate around work-life balance, whereby you can't work all the time, especially not during a global pandemic. You have to find balance somehow. That's why routines are important, especially for PhD students. If you work 9 to 5 as a PhD student, you will probably be coping okay throughout this, because you will have a set routine throughout the day, despite all the worries that are going on, I imagine, for you and your family. But you have a routine. But for PhD students, have jobs and families and don't exist within that reality vacuum. I imagine this is a really strange time for people. So I just wanted to air some of those thoughts for my first Alternative Academia vlog month. Next week, I think I will go back to talking about something to do with my research. In my blogs, I was writing about the first chapter of my research. I'm tempted to start looking at the second and third, perhaps the fourth chapter. And we'll see how this goes. This was much longer than I wanted it to be, and there's a few long pauses in there, and don't pick up on my ums because I say a lot. This is going to be completely unfiltered, unedited. This is just me talking about life as a PhD student and my research. I think this is a really important way to share our experiences as PhD students and to share our research through the form of verbal speech, and not at a conference because they're scary. Just like putting your face all over the internet is scary. I guess it's much of a muchness. Anyway, I'm rambling. See you all next week.